we're talking about learning to drive with autism. So we're talking maybe about yourself, or we're talking about it as a parent or a support worker. Now, this is going to be pitched towards parents and so the support team, but that doesn't mean that it's not appropriate for other people as well. So just make sure that this is, appropriate for you. Just admitting someone else. And we will get underway. So thanks very much for joining me today. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the worries that families express to us. They might sound familiar to you. We're going to talk about when is it a good time to start thinking about driving. We're going to talk through a 4-week starting program, and I'll talk to you about how to do that. We're going to talk through safety and staying calm in the car and how we can help. So Williams OT, myself, how we can help if this webinar is not enough. Now, we do have a special offer and why the QR code is up there. So if you've got your phone, if you're watching this on your phone, you might want to take a snapshot of this screen here. Or if you're watching this on a computer, you might want to take a picture of that QR code. Now, the QR code is going to be on each slide, so you don't need to do it right now. But what the QR code does is it takes you through to a connection call with me. And the connection call with me is to allow me to unpack where you're up to. It's a free call, absolutely free. As is this webinar, it's the connection call is for me to understand what's happening in your life. And we can discuss some tips and tricks that might be able to help you at the start, but it also is there to help understand if we could help you in any other way moving forward with our program. So the connection call's there. Now, just to let you know, I'm going to mention right at the end of this that there is a special offer for our services for if you book a connection call before the end of January. So it is a connection, it is a link to my diary. It is filling up fast. I'll mention what the special offer is as we go through later on. So if you wanted to get in early and book a connection call, you can do the QR code at any time. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a poll. So I am new to polls, so hopefully this works. I'm going to launch a poll and hopefully you will be able to answer the questions that come up in front of you. Give me a thumbs up if you can see the poll, and hopefully you can answer the questions that are there. Let me know. Yeah, thumbs up. Beautiful. So I'll just give you a couple of minutes to answer these questions. All right, I think we have all done it. So I'm going to end the poll now. If you haven't answered a question, that's okay. I'm going to end the poll there, and I'll share the results if it's okay to do so. That should be anonymous there. The first question there, it shows where people are up to in their driving journey, and you can see that we've got a bit of a mixed bag there, and that's usually the way. And people are at different stages. Some people have had a go at driving, and some people are absolutely brand new and are just starting to think about it. Maybe they're teens, 15, and they're trying to think about it for the first time. Other people have had a good go. Some people are done hours and hours. Like we just had a referral today for someone that's done well over 100 hours and can't pass their test. So there's lots of different positions that people can be in. The biggest barriers: time, consistency of practice, stress or anxiety, traffic complexity, don't know where to start, It's interesting that the other one is there. I would love to unpack that a little bit later. Maybe the person that put other might want to put it into the chat for me, and we can unpack as we go. And what support would help over the next 3 months? We can see that people are at different levels and needing different things across the way, but the parent and teen coaching has come up very strong there, with 80% people looking at that. All right. Well, stop sharing the poll there. And I thank you very much for doing that. Over time, parents have told us that very similar. Don't know where to start, time is limited, worried about crashes, costs associated with that and driving lessons, unsure if their young person can manage the traffic and stress. This is sounding very familiar to the poll that we've just put out. Has the physical abilities but struggles with overwhelm and decision making. Does not drive yet and avoids it, doesn't want to be part of it, but the family know it's going to make a massive difference to their life if they do get their license. Not sure if they're ready for lessons or testing yet, and unsure how autism will actually affect driving and how to teach in that space. So the poll was very similar, and you're not alone. That's why we did the poll. You're not alone. It's the stuff that we hear all the time, and why we've started the autism assistance program that we've got going, and why we're doing this webinar today. Research has been done in this area for autism and driving, and research actually shows that there's less speeding fine and red light infringements. Those things that regular drivers get by making mistakes. The mistakes are not there for speeding or red light running or those type of everyday misdemeanors that people have when they're driving. There are more issues when it comes to judging traffic and especially turning across traffic. So where we are, we've got South Road here in Adelaide, which is the busiest thoroughfare through Adelaide, and turning right onto that for driving on the left-hand side. If you're in a different part of the world, we'll swap that over to the other side. It might be turning left across traffic, but it's turning across traffic, and judging those gaps can be a bit more of an issue. And researchers found that it can take 3 times longer to learn to drive when you've got autism. Now, of course, that varies. Autism is not a specific diagnosis like an amputated right leg. It has got a big varying degree, but the average is 3 times longer, or can take up to 3 times longer to drive. It's going to be a spectrum within that, because autism is a spectrum as well. But the thing is that research has shown that autistic drivers can learn to drive, and many do it extremely well. In fact, they're some of our safest drivers on the road. But executive function and sensory overload can affect decision making in specific situations, and especially through the learning stage. And targeted teaching and staged exposure can really improve outcomes. So that staged exposure is something that we advocate for a lot, and we'll talk about that a little bit further on through this presentation. So knowing when your person is ready to drive has many factors, and these factors impact driving across the learning area. So we've got cognitive and communicative areas, we've got emotional regulation, we've got sensory fit, motivations and values, and a practical starting point. Are they practically ready? So let's unpack that. There's a lot of information on this slide. You might want to take a snapshot of it with your phone, because you might want to go back and visit this if you're in the I'm not sure if my teen is ready for this, or young adult is ready for this. So can they follow 2-step demands? As an example, when we're driving, that is at the traffic lights, stage 1, we're going to turn left, stage 2 of the command. So can they follow a 2-step command? or are they really in the one stage command? With the learning how to drive, we really need to be at a two-stage command. And are they able to start to understand some very basic road rules? One of the best ways to start that is, are they able to go out independently and cross busy roads? Have you got the confidence for them to do that? Can they walk home from school, as an example? If you're guarding them yourself from their ability to do that, well, that might be telling you a story that they're maybe not ready at this stage. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you've got to this webinar and they've met that criteria. They can do that independent, out and about in the community, and understand the basic road rules to be able to cross roads and to be able to understand when it's safe to do so. Emotional regulation is one of the big things. School can be a treacherous time for people with autism because of the peer elements of it all. Well, the best thing about driving is that you're in a bubble. You're literally in a bubble. You're in a car with a shield around you. However, we've got to invite somebody else into that environment to teach them how to drive. So will that work? And do we have calming techniques if they do get tooted, if they do get honked by another driver? And will it be a startle response, and will they press the brake in the middle of a busy intersection, as an example? Now, you mightn't know that as yet, but can they regulate emotions to a safe point, even if overwhelm builds up? Can we tolerate elements of that to be able to stay safe behind the steering wheel? Our program's got lots of tips about staying in control, but that starting point, are we able to stay regulated to a point that we're not going to slam on the brake in the middle of a really busy intersection? Sensory fit. Now, we've noticed this a lot more over the driving training that we do. Teenagers now are, whether they've got ASD or not, look down at their phone a lot more. And they're not engaging with the road environment like I did as a teen. We used to play car cricket and games and all kinds of stuff because we didn't have the screens. Yeah, we used to read books and stuff and so forth, but we used to look up and out of the window a lot more than what teens are now doing. So it's a generational thing, but also, can your person tolerate 30 minutes of looking out the front window and looking out and then starting to engage with traffic and look right and left? Do they have the motivation to do this? Do they have a personal drive? It doesn't always need to be there, but sometimes they can see their teen friends starting to get their license, and they want to start going, well, maybe I can do it as well. They might not need to be the leader of the pack, but maybe they're starting to go to university and maybe they want to start thinking about, well, how am I going to get to my job after I finished uni? Doesn't need to be a 15-year-old. Absolutely not. Doesn't need to be a 16-year-old. Doesn't need to be a 20-year-old. But do they have the goal of, yeah, this is going to help me? And can they understand how the basics of the car operate? As in, that pedal down there makes the car go, and that pedal down there makes the car slow down. Maybe you would like to get them into the driver's seat and they can feel how the car operates. They might have gone to a karting and get to feel it that way. But maybe sitting in the driveway or sitting in a car park and actually revving the engine and getting a feel for how soft the touch needs to be on the accelerator for 1,500 revs, 1.5 revs on the rev counter. It's not a lot of touch, and building into that the gentleness of pressing the accelerator. It's like patting the cat. You don't want to pat the cat by whacking it, because that's not going to end well with a cat. We want to gently stroke the cat We've got to do the same with a car. We need to be gentle with the car, and building in how to actually press the accelerator is a good starting point, just to get a feel for the car so they don't, well, one, it's graded exposure, but making sure that they're allowing themselves to feel how the car operates. Make sure it's in park, make sure the handbrake's on, or neutral. Don't overdo it, but have a feel of actually controlling a car in a very controlled environment. If they're able to do all of these, then maybe they're ready to undertake driving and start the process. But this is a really good place to start to understand if your person has the next step to be able to drive. Another really good thing is they have to be independent. So can they actually go to a shop, pay for something, and communicate with the person behind the counter to buy something? Not to have a conversation, but can they actually go and buy something from a shop? Some people, you might need to, they might get pulled over by a police officer. They're going to have some level of communication, even though they're in a bubble by themselves. But the other thing is that they're going to have to communicate with the driving instructor. So having these skills are very, very important. Now, talking about driving instructors, I'm just going to check there's no late entries. No, we're all good. Okay. Talking about driving instructors, there's a very different role between parents and driving instructors, or the OTs if an OT gets involved. Parents are the practice. Parents are the people that are there to get the hours up. It's a collaboration between parents and instructors. Now, with a typical cohort, the driving instructors work very separate from parents. The teen goes out, practices with a driving instructor, comes home, and the parents just get on with it. And there's not a lot of communication backwards and forwards between the driving instructor and the parent. There just doesn't need to be. A good driving instructor will do that, but quite often the parents pay for a lesson, get the driving instructor to do it, and the parents will get in with their car to build up hours, and it's kind of a carefree type of environment. But when it comes to learning to drive with autism, it really does need to be a collaborative approach. But the parents are there for helping build the relationship and give the consistency, and to also help with building up the hours, but help that communication between the driving instructor and the person learning to drive. We want to help build the good communication in the car and help the driving instructor understand the language it's going to work. You know your child better than anyone else. You've, got 15 plus years of experience for the communication that's going to take place. You can help guide your driving instructor. So it is a really big collaborative approach, and you don't need to take on the teaching role. It really is the practice role. However, the more you know, the more you can practice it in a safe environment. Having a driving instructor that engages in regular feedback is vital. All right, well, we're going to talk about the first 4 weeks. Again, if you've got any questions, make sure you put them in the chat and I'll come back to them at the end. Please put that in there. Now, the first 4 weeks of when you get in the car. Now, we would suggest, now, if you're in Australia, I'm going to quickly talk about, I should have put a slide up about this, but I haven't. But it came out of a question that we had before we did this. What about medical certificates for autism? Do I need to have one? Quickly, the short answer is yes. Autism is a condition that may impact on driving, with executive function, and therefore it should be getting a medical certificate by a GP to say that all of the right things have been considered and this person is medically fit to undertake the learning process. That's all it is. They are medically fit to undertake the learning process. If you get that, then the Department of Transport knows, and then there's less questions in regards to that. Okay, so what we are then doing is once we've got the L's, you can learn online nowadays. You can learn with the My L's online. If you're in South Australia, it's called different things around different states in Australia, and a lot of other countries are doing online learning as well. It's in modules. It's very different to how I got my license. When I got my license, you went into Service SA. You sat in a test environment with lots of people around you or all alone with people watching you through a window. Very stressful environment. Well, nowadays it's done online. You watch the modules, you answer the questions at the end of the modules, and hopefully you get them right. If not, you get another chance to get them right. It's really hard to not get your L's now, because you do it in your own environment. You can take your time, you can redo it, relearn it, come back to the modules another day, and get it another way that way. So let's say you get your L's. We would always suggest that you have driving lessons first to get the foundations right, because that first drive without a brake on the passenger side can be very nerve-wracking for the parent. And when it's very nerve-wracking for the parent, then emotions get high and the first drive might not be a very positive experience. So with this first 4-week plan is about trying to keep it very relaxed for you guys and try to keep it so you don't go too far where the stress levels go up too high, and so we keep it under check. So week 1, set the goals. In week 1, it would be just about getting used to the car. So revving the engine, making sure that they know how the steering wheel works, make it turn, and really just starting to talk about driving, getting ready for the first drive. Now, week 2 is when I would actually suggest that you take that first drive. Okay. The first drive will be, we suggest in a car park, and that you just, and it's a very quiet car park, a bit like the photo. There's no cars around. I wouldn't suggest that you do the burnouts that are in the car park, like in this photo, but I would suggest that you are no one around and you can learn how to make the car roll and make the car stop. Make the car roll and make the car stop. Learn that the car actually wants to drive itself up to about 5 to 10 k's an hour if you're in an automatic, and then coming to a stop. Then I would add in turning to the left and going around the car park and down the next aisle, turning to the left through week 2. Week 3, if it's going okay, I would move that onto a road, but I would do it around a square block. I would do that. Oops, sorry about that. I would do that around roads that are square in nature. Now, in Adelaide, that's extremely easy because all the roads are in squares, except for a couple of diagonal roads that come in on a 45-degree angle, like Anzac Highway or Port Road. Most of other roads are square. In other countries and other towns, it might be a little bit harder to find a square or rectangular block, but I would aim to find a location where that is. Now, where I live is up in the hills. That's not a great environment to be able to start, because you've got undulations where the car can get faster and get slower, and we've got to learn about how gravity works. But I would get to a flat place where there's left-hand turns. It makes it much more predictable, and keeps it in control. Now, you may stay at week 3 for more than 1 week. You may stay there for many weeks until you feel safe that you can do the next bit. I would make sure that you've got a handbrake and you know how to push it into neutral in case they make a mistake. So when you're starting, I would have your right hand on the handbrake if you're driving on the left-hand side of the road, right hand on the handbrake, and the left hand across your body, ready to push it into neutral in case they make a mistake. They can rev the engine, but you're not going to accelerate into trouble. Handbrake neutral is instead of a safety brake on the left-hand side. Once we've got left-hand turns underway, then you might want to introduce right-hand turns if you're driving on the left-hand side, because then we have to go across the road and take on traffic that comes in both directions. This would be our 4-week plan for anyone that's coming through our program, so I thought I would share it with you. Traffic and stress. Make sure you plan your routes. Make sure you take micro steps. Micro steps are the key to this, to keeping it under control. Don't push too far, too fast. That's when things break down. Start with little micro achievements. Stay calm and add a micro element on top. One thing that you might want to really consider is the other sensory inputs. Your child may never have worn sunglasses before, but the glare off the bonnet might be something that you might want to explore through this readiness program. Can they look up? Can they get the glare off the bonnet? Do they need sunnies? Can they get used to wearing sunnies to be able to help with that glare? There is a lot of glare when we're driving. Make sure you explore that, because sensory elements may make a big difference. You might want to go through seat comfort, getting it into the right position so they've got a slight bend in their knee, being able to plan for hydration stops because when they first start, they're going to have 2 hands locked on the steering wheel and they're going to be stiff as a board. Make sure that they can pull over and have a drink and help move through that, and explore what sensory regulation elements you can build into the drive, and try to have it that one person speaks and one person teaches at a time. So try to use the same words between you and the driving instructor so it becomes familiar. So really having that good relationship with your driving instructor really is important. To help parents, make sure you start in a low-risk environment. So a car park, when the shopping is finished, everyone's gone home for the night and there's no one else around. So maybe a university car park when everyone goes home at 5 o'clock predictably, that type of thing. Try to find your environment where you can progress slowly and carefully. If you're doing roads, not doing it at 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock when everyone's rushing home and taking shortcuts. You might want to do it at night and learn how reading the lights and distances. It can be harder, but trying to find the time where there's going to be less cars on the road. So we're learning physical control first. Make sure you log your sessions. You should get a learner's logbook. There are online apps, depending on where you are in different states, so you can start to log those hours straight away. And celebrate that. Celebrate the progress. Celebrate if it's a 5-minute drive, how good that was just to feel the car, just to get the seat in the right position. It's okay. You don't need to drive for an hour and a half. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, getting in the car. These are all achievements that should be celebrated and congratulated, and we move on to the next one and add on to that next one. Make sure you know the licensing and medical rules for your state. We can certainly help you unpack that if you need to. And make sure that you consider the insurance for learner drivers in your car. Everyone's got different policies. Make sure you check it with your policy in your car for a learner driver. You don't want to learn from a mistake there. The common roadblocks and fixes: avoidance. Avoidance is a big thing. They get overwhelmed and they want to take a step back. So shrink the task, make them achievable tasks. And I would actually start small before you go too big and have to wind it back. Start small with a tiny element and have that as the only goal for the day. Take one step at a time. Visual cues are massive. That's what we spend a lot of our time learning about, is doing visual cues. And if you can use visual cues, it'll make a massive difference. And try, like I said, to be consistent between you and the driving instructor, and be consistent between sessions. Add on. Don't go, we'll do this one day, we'll do that another day. Add on. It makes a massive difference. If there is a plateau, well, then you can change the environment, but make it more of a detour to that environment rather than just going to something brand new another day. Reset the expectations is another way to do it. The expectation might be too high, and then you get the avoidance. Make sure that the expectation is realistic. I hope that really helped. What we're going to do now is just talk about the Drive With Me program. The Drive With Me program is a session plan that we have put together for parents and support workers. So the Drive With Me program is a program that is designed for parents, basically to help them become little mini driving instructors, to help their teens or their young adults learn how to drive. It's the support package to help you have the confidence to be able to get in the car with your person learning how to drive and do that with confidence. It's a 3-stage pathway, and the 3 stages are before you get your L's. So helping people get through that getting ready stage, help them getting their license, helping them with the medical certificate side of it all, helping how to engage with the appropriate people for the next stage once we've got the L's. Stage 2 is actually about getting in the car. Stage 2, we've got 20 plus driving lessons to teach the parent of what the expectations are for those driving lessons. So you can watch that as a parent and go, oh yeah, I feel like I actually know what the driving instructor is now expecting. And then you can go and practice that as well in case the communication isn't great between you and your driving instructor, or you can't get in and watch a driving lesson. We've also got a lot of emotional regulation videos, a lot of avoidance videos, how to overcome those barriers when they're bound to rise at some point through your driving journey. So we've got lots of videos about that. We've got videos about cognitive behavioral therapy, ACT therapy. Well, it's not ACT therapy, it's like ATM machine, or auto teller machine, ACT. We've got all kinds of videos to help work through the regulation side of driving, the regulation of emotions and actions. And then we've got stage 3, which is getting ready for your P's test, getting ready for becoming independent, and how to actually take those first drives when you're by yourself. It's a lot different relying on a driving instructor to give you the instructions and get you out of a dangerous situation, to actually taking that first drive by yourself, and then what to do if there is an accident. It can be very overwhelming for someone with autism if there is an accident. We've got assistant packages for that to be able to become independent, how to talk to police officers if you get pulled over by a breath test, all of those things about becoming independent, costs, roadside assistance, tires, maintenance, those type of things. And that's where you might want your team to start watching the videos for themselves. It's all online videos, and what we do is we have monthly check-ins with you to make sure that we are designing the program for you and for your team to make sure that it's the right fit for you. And then we also have Q&A sessions once a month, first Tuesday of the month. We have a Q&A session where parents get together. I'm there, and they're able to ask me questions as they go that might not be coming up in the videos. We've also got in-depth VIP sessions, we call them, where we can do in-depth intervention with you via video calls. We go in-depth. So some of the things that we've done with people is through video training and in-depth situations, we dug deep into parking. Parking was a big issue. We dug deep into parking, and really excitingly, this person this month has booked in for their assessment, and we've worked through some real specifics with them. Now, it might not be practical in the car type stuff. It might be emotional regulation from being tutored, or avoidance because of stress, overwhelm, and making mistakes. They might be a really high achiever, and they really struggle with being judged and valued when they're in the driver's seat. We can work through those type of things as well. It's up to you. They're VIP sessions where we work in depth on a specific area for you. Another example is building a visual mind map. We've done this for this person. They saw everything in a linear fashion. So their house to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing was all in a linear fashion rather than a spider web type approach of the McDonald's is over there and my friend's house is over there and school was over there. They saw everything in a linear fashion. So helping to build a visual mind map, because when you first drive, you can't use your phone. So GPS, Google Maps type of thing is an issue. So one-on-one training is available with in-depth sessions for you as well. So yeah, that's how the Drive with Me session works, and it's there for you. One of the big questions that we get for people that are in Australia is this covered by NDIS? The short answer is yes. Okay, so with this session, we're going to send out a readiness checklist. Okay, so that what we spoke through, we'll send out a checklist for you. So you've got a printed version of that. If you took a photo of the screen before, good on you, fantastic. You'll have that straight away. What we suggest if you wanted to move ahead with the Drive With Me program is to find out if it's the right fit for you, book a connection call. And that's that QR code that we've had on each of the slides. You can scan that with your phone. It'll take you to the connection call. Make sure that you book connection call, not orientation call or actual session plan. Make sure that you book connection call. We don't want you to get charged for one thing beforehand. It's the free one. The connection call is the free one where we can discuss if it's the right fit for you. But we do have a special bonus that's happening. I said that I would mention that. So the Drive With Me program has two elements. Tier 1 is our foundations support. If you sign up for that via a connection call and sign up by the end of January, so connection call in January and sign up by the time we get to the end of February, so actually get involved with your orientation call before February, you will get a free VIP session. So that's one of those in-depth training sessions valued at $581 for the time that it takes to do that. So make sure that you sign up to one of those by signing up before connection call by the end of January and get into the program, sign it all up before the end of February. So that's, you might want to scan that QR code now if you're interested in that. Just a side note, we have tried to make this NDIS compliant through everything, and it's also ARPA friendly, which is our governing body. So we can share those with you if you'd like some more information. A couple of things. It is general in nature. Everything that I've shared here today, we haven't dug into specifics for your child. It is a general overview. We suggest that you do seek personal advice, whether that's a connection call and getting into the program, or through a different health professional or licensing authority for in regards to licensing in your area for driving. And like I said, APRA regulated. So we're not allowed to use testimonials, and we're not allowed to use in-depth case studies and things like that. I'd love to bring you a case study, love to share testimonials, but we're actually not allowed to, as a health professional, to do that. So this is where we're at. Right. This is the chance for you to ask any questions. If you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. Some prompts for you, your biggest aha moments, your biggest takeaway learning from today, and any specific questions that you might have for me, please put them in the chat. While you're doing that, I'm just going to skip forward to it, but now's the time to put that up there. Thank you for the question that's there. I'll come to it in a minute. This program is, again, for parents and support teams in Australia, New Zealand, but basically anywhere around the world. We can tailor this program for wherever you are around the world, because autism isn't autism. Everyone's varied, but we're talking about autism related to the task of driving. It doesn't really matter if you drive on the right-hand side of the road or the left-hand side of the road. It's about the elements of driving with autism, not the actual road rules themselves. So this program is available for anyone around the world. We do have, it can be covered by NDIS if you have an NDIS plan with the appropriate capacity building in Australia. And like I said, the readiness to start will send it to you. Thanks for registering. That's why we got you to register. We'll send you the readiness checklist via the email. The connection call, if you haven't been able to scan the QR code, take a snapshot of this slide here, because that's the link for that connection call. And like I said, get all of your enrollment done before the end of February, and you'll get a free VIP session valued at over $580, $581 to be specific, to pay for my time. We'll give that to you free of charge if you sign up. And if you want to know any more about it, that is the website to go to for the program. So let me just go back and have a look for any questions that have come up. I'll leave that up. So let me just scroll down. So one of the questions was, do you have any programs for teens with mental health conditions such as anxiety? The thing about the Drive With Me program is that anxiety is very often a secondary element to driving with autism. We have many elements related in this program to anxiety. That avoidance, the not wanting to go out in the car, the overwhelm, the PTSD type of response of shutdown, those autism elements commonly coincide with anxiety. A big part of our program is about anxiety management. So yes, we do in this program, but we don't actually have it separate to this. This program is designed for people where helping people with autism. A take home. Add learner to our insurance. Yes, Julie, make sure that you go and check that out. Make sure that you have that checked out in your new insurance. Make sure you go and do that, because yeah, you don't want to be a nasty surprise. And another question, is there any ideas about helping your teens with turning left around corners so they don't bump into islands? We have a designated video in our program about left-hand turns, and we go into how the appropriate time to do a quarter turn to the left and get up to a point that you can see down the footpath so you can judge if traffic's coming. And it's only a quarter turn. That takes you from the middle of the road, middle of your lane. Well, I'm assuming we're talking about in Australia here. Middle of your lane, and we're turning left. Yep, cool. Thanks, Emma. Middle of your lane on the left. We do, this is hard to explain without the video, but I'll give you a real tip, a quick tip, and it's about the video that's up there. When the corner, the gutter on the left-hand side, if you're traveling down the middle of your lane, goes underneath the bonnet, you can't see it anymore because you can see it in the distance. It's getting closer, it's getting closer, it's getting closer, it's getting closer. The corner goes under the bonnet and you can't see it anymore. We do a quarter turn to the left. So we take our hands from 9 and 3 to 12 and 6, turning to the left, until you can see down the footpath on the right-hand side, so you can see all of the environment. We then have to get the gutter that's on the left. We hold that quarter turn. If there's no cars coming, we move forward with our hands at 12 and 6 until at least the mirror has passed the gutter on the left-hand side. The front wheels have got past the gutter on the left-hand side. And then from that point, we finish one circle of the steering wheel only. Most teens oversteer. They turn at 1.5 until it can't steer anymore, or they understeer and they only go like quarter turn and then they lock their arms upside down and they don't let go of the steering wheel. Try that. So driving down the middle of the lane, the corner goes underneath the bonnet, quarter turn until you get to a point where you can make a decision, move forward holding that quarter turn until the gutter is at least past the mirror, and then it's finish off one circle of the steering wheel only if it's a 90-degree turn. I have just given away too much for free. But anyway, that's the type of elements that are in our training videos, just to give you a little bit of an insight. We've got them for right-hand turns, making sure that they don't hit their tires on roundabouts, all that type of thing as well. All right. We're coming up to an hour's worth of time. I really thank you for being here with us today. If you've got any more questions, please make sure that you book a connection call with me. Happy to unpack anything else like turning to the left and making sure we don't hit the curb. We've got all of this information here. We've got years and years and years of experience behind us here. Williams OT is turning 15 at the end of January. So we've got 15 years of experience behind us with 14 staff members through our business here. We're bringing this all together online for you guys. So make sure you book a connection call if you'd like to take advantage of that free VIP session. And I will sign out from here. Thank you very much for joining us.